so I'm here for my July-August wrap-up. Long time no see. I know I haven't uploaded in like a month, but I do plan, I say this all the time, but really I do plan on uploading more frequently now. I went to Paris and then I went to Spain to go visit my boyfriend, and that was exciting because I hadn't seen him in like 4 months. So I just can't wait till he comes back, because during that trip he was reading out loud to me from my Kindle from the book I was reading then, which was Dumpling, and I don't know, I thought that was fun, and it just gave me this idea of maybe instead of reading a book together, maybe we should read out loud to each other, each chapter alternating, because then it seems like we're really reading the book together. So I'm thinking of doing that, and he kind of seemed to like the idea, I think. So I like that. So I have a lot of videos planned, but of course I'm here for the wrap up because I want to show you what I've read. And I read 4 books in July and 4 books in August, so let's get to it. The first book I read in July was Another Kind of Hurricane by Tamara Ellis Smith, and this takes place when Hurricane Katrina is going on, and it's about these 2 boys and their lives kind of intertwine and they kind of meet up, but I won't say how they meet up. I thought it wasn't for me as far as age goes, but if you're in middle school or you have a kid in middle school or you know someone in middle school, I would definitely recommend this, because I feel like kids in middle school aren't really aware of what happened during Hurricane Katrina, because they must have been like 4 years old or 5 years old or something crazy like that. So I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. And then I read A Million Miles Away, which I will link over here. I don't remember what the author was, but I was literally so excited to read this, and I was so excited to get my hands on it. And then I read it in one night. Literally, I started at like 10 p.m. and I finished at like 1 a.m. or something crazy like that. And oh my god, just total fail. This is about 2 twins, and one twin is dating this guy that has been deployed. He's in the military, and she dies, and this is in the synopsis, I'm pretty sure, or if it's not, it's in like the first chapter, so it's not a spoiler. But then the twin basically pretends to be her, so you can imagine what is going to happen. It was very predictable. I thought that it was gonna dive deeper into the whole military thing because the boyfriend was deployed and in the military and everything, and that's why I was excited, because I was like, oh, my boyfriend's deployed right now too, so maybe I can relate to this. But no, it was very vague. The characters were pretty flat. It didn't really go, I don't know, like, it was YA though, so I get it, but it was a disappointment and I wouldn't recommend it, and I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I tend to give 2 out of 5 stars to books that I didn't like but I finished. But Kesha made me realize that I shouldn't be giving that book that leeway, that I should just give it the rating that it deserves no matter if I finished it or not. And so this is really a 1 out of 5 stars. And then I finished Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, and I was really struggling with this. I've been reading this since May, and I showed this in my TBR that I was gonna read it in July. And I finished it in July, but I just don't know what happened. This was a reread for me. And at first I gave it 5 stars and it made it onto my favorites list automatically. I was like, wow, like this is definitely going onto my favorites list. And then this time around, maybe my reading taste changed or something, because I did read this like 3 years ago, I think was the first time I read it. So maybe my reading tastes have changed. I don't want to tell you what it's about though, because you really have to go into this book blind, because that kind of ruins it. And maybe that's why. You know what? Maybe that's why I didn't like it this time around. I knew what it was about and what was going to happen and everything, but the first time around I just went into it completely blind. And so I was just like, you know, it takes you a little bit of time to figure it out if you've read it before, and I'm like, wow, like that was so good. And this time around, like, I went into it already knowing, so Maybe that's why. But I ended up giving this 2.5 out of 5 stars, and I will probably be donating this one. And then I read Why the Last Man, which I will insert here. And I really enjoyed that one. And it's basically the end of the world, and all of a sudden all the males die except for this one guy and his monkey. So it follows them, and I really enjoyed it. I am blanking out right now. I want to say it's by Brian K. Vaughan, maybe. I don't know, but definitely go check it out. I definitely recommend it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And I don't own it, so I can't say if I'll donate it or not, but I will check out the next volume from the library. And then in August, I read Maybe Someday on my Kindle, and I will insert a picture here. And that was my first experience with Colleen Hoover, and I see why people like her, but I think that I would only enjoy her books if I was either A, coming out of a slump or wanting to come out of a slump, or B, on a plane or car ride, or somewhere where you need something to do. I don't think I would pick up her book as one of my reads that I read like before I go to sleep. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the kind of book it was for me. It's about this girl and her boyfriend cheats on her, and then she kind of has this thing going on with the neighbor. My Baxter's crying right now. So like I was saying, she starts having this thing with her neighbor. Just your typical new adult book, and I gave it 3.5 or 3 stars. I think I gave it 3 stars out of 5 stars. I just don't see what the hype was about for that book either, because I'm sorry to whoever loved it, but if I owned it, I would donate it. But I got it from the library, so. So the next book I read was Dumpling, and I will insert in a picture here. This was my favorite read out of the past 2 months of reading, which is kind of sad because I haven't really read that many books that I've really liked. This is about a girl, she wants to be in this pageant. Her mom is like the head of the pageant stuff, and her mom thinks she's like too overweight for it, and her mom just seems kind of like she's ashamed that she's her daughter, kind of. That's the vibe that I got. I just thought it was funny in my head, because somehow like things aren't funny to me out loud. I think you guys will think it's funny if you read it. And it was a really quick read. I read that one in like a couple of hours too while I was on the plane coming back to the US. And I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, Uprooted by Naomi something. I'll insert a picture here. Wow, just what? I don't know what happened. I don't know. I didn't know if something was wrong with me personally. I kept seeing everyone giving it like 5 stars, like raving about it, and I'm like, I really need to check this book out. Like, it is getting hyped up, but you know what? I'll check it out at the library. So I checked it out at the library on my e-reader, and I read it on the trip, and it was a real struggle for me because I started it way before my trip started, and then I didn't finish it until towards the end of August, I think. It took me a really long time, and I really wanted to DNF it, but I was already like halfway through it, so I was like, let me just count this towards my reading challenge. And yeah, I really have a lot to say about it, but I don't want to rant about it in this video. I will just say that I personally don't recommend it. Maybe if I was in middle school, I would enjoy it, or maybe it's because I read adult too, and not just YA, and maybe that's why it was bad for me. I tried to read the 1 stars on Goodreads to see if people felt the same way as me, and they did. The characters were just super flat, really boring, really boring. Like, I literally fell asleep as I was reading it, and I wasn't even tired. I was just like, wow, this is super boring. And yeah, let me just stop. And I just gave it 1 out of 5 stars because of what Kesha said. Like I said, I shouldn't give it 2 stars just because I finished it, and it really deserves a 1 star, so that's what it's gonna get. The next book I read was Wonderless by Elizabeth Eves, A Love Affair with 5 Continents, and I've been wanting to read this for so long. I saw it on Chapter Stack's channel, and I immediately bought it, and that was like a year or 2 ago. Whenever she showed it, it was a long time ago. And I just got to it. I thought it would be the perfect read for my trip since I was going abroad. I kind of struggled through the beginning of it, like, or the middle part of it, and then it got really good and I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? So I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. So I would say I enjoyed it for the most part. It's about this girl and she travels to different countries, and just to let you know, it does focus on her like hooking up with different guys and meeting different guys. I think that stuff is like drama and like juicy. So I would definitely recommend this to, again, if you're on a plane, if you're in the car, or if you plan on traveling somewhere, or on the beach, read this. It was fun. Don't really read into it or anything. Like, don't be that person that really like analyzes it and it's like, oh my god, she's hooking up with like 10 million guys. Like, just take the drama for what it is. So that is what I read these past 2 months, and I didn't really have good reading months at all. Dumpling was the best book I read and I gave that 3.5 stars. So hopefully September is a better month. I'm gonna try to dive into books I own more. Just know that I have a lot more videos to come besides wrap up, book haul, and TBR. So yeah. So comment below if you agree with me or what you think of these books, or if you want to read these books. Don't kill me since I gave Uprooted 1 star. And yeah, I will see you guys later.